This video is intended for both teachers and students that are using Google Classroom in their classes. I have a couple of tips and tricks to help to optimize your digital experience in using your Google account. So as you can see here on the screen, I have one single Google inbox. And all of my messages, including any updates from Google Classroom, any updates from any other websites we use for school, and even personal messages are all kind of blended together. There's a way that you can organize your inbox so that you have separate tabs, along the top that allow you to filter your messages a little bit. So let's take a look. In this inbox, I'm going to click on the gear here on the top right, and I'm going to click on Configure Inbox. And here, although I have primary, social, and promotions seem to be enabled, I'm also going to click on Updates and Forums and leave this checked and click the Save button. It's taking a moment to sort the messages, but one of the things that you might see is that you now have updates, for example, things that are due, new assignments, or things that are coming from Classroom are now filtering into your updates section. If you find that some of your classroom updates remain in this primary inbox area that really should only be reserved for direct communications, you can select the messages as I have here by clicking on them to select them and then drag them to updates. And now you'll notice that I've cleared out my primary inbox quite well. The other thing you'll notice that updates will include are things like updates from Google Drive. If somebody shares a document with you or changes a permission. Forums is the place where things like campus news might go, where this test student isn't on that list, but that's where you'll find a lot of things. So again, you can do this by clicking on the gear, clicking Configure Inbox, and choosing all 5 tabs. Again, to recap, if there are things in your primary inbox that should be in updates or perhaps forums, you can simply select them and drag them to the right tab and essentially train Gmail to put future messages of this type into the right category. So that pretty much is one tip for Gmail. Let's move on to some settings in Classroom itself. So you may have quite a few teachers using Google Classroom, and perhaps you may know this or not, but you can actually drag these icons around on the top level of Google Classroom to prioritize how you want them to be arranged. And here on the left is a menu icon, and there's a great feature here called Calendar, which gives you kind of your weekly assignments as they are due week by week. If I go back here, you can switch between your classes, but right at the top of this second section is a to-do list that lists your upcoming or missing assignments by date. So these look like they were overdue, so test student isn't doing so well. But right below it is a due tomorrow and due Tuesday section and beyond. If you want to kind of celebrate what you've already completed or make sure that what you think you submitted was actually submitted through the system, you can click the Done button and see that I, as the test student, have submitted 2 things so far. Finally, under Settings, way at the bottom, you can change your profile picture as you like, and you can do this in a couple of different Google apps located here, but you can do that here. But the main reason I'm looking at this section is the notifications. You kind of want to keep email notifications enabled because important communications from your teacher will come through that way. But you may not want to get comments for every single post that you put up or comments that mention you, or you might. The main thing that I want to point out is that you will, by default, have reminders for almost due work turned on, and those will show up in your updates now. As you can see here, it says due tomorrow, due tomorrow. So this is kind of a useful feature. The final thing I'm going to show you is going back to one of the classes the test student is in. I'll go ahead and go into English 2. In the About section, there are a couple of links, but there's a link to the Google Calendar, because just as a reminder, when you join a Google class, both you and the teacher get a calendar layer that you can turn on and off for each class so that you can actually see what's due and overlay it over your calendar to begin maybe planning for some upcoming assignments. Anyway, hope this was helpful and have a great rest of your day.